We've done a couple videos on this new SECURAM Touch electronic deadbolt. In today's video, we're going to talk about the app that turns it into a smart lock and how it can be controlled from your phone. I'm Robert with Acme Locksmith, and you're watching Locksmith Recommended. In order to get this to work from your phone, you're going to use this hub. And again, this is not an external third-party hub. This is not Z-Wave or Zigbee. This is a hub designed to work with this smart deadbolt. So it ought to be a very simple, easy process in order to get these two things connected. Let's take a quick look inside the box. Well, it looks pretty simple. It's this, and it plugs into an outlet. And my hope here, and again, I've never installed this before, so my hope here is that this thing is plug and play. It's going to voice guide me through the whole process. Let's see what else is in this box to see if they're giving me any kind of information about the app I need to download or anything like that. Sure enough, there was a little pamphlet in there that said, hey, download the SECURAM app with a QR code. So I'm gonna go take a look at that and download that app right now. Now it is asking me whether or not it can manage phone calls. I'm not sure why it would do that, but I'm going to allow it. Now it's asking me to register, so I need to register the app. And we're going through a two-step verification process that we see in a lot of apps nowadays. All right, now it's just taking me to the prompt to set up a new device. So setting up the app, fairly intuitive, a lot of the stuff that you see in other apps as well. So I'm going to now plug this in. Well, actually, let me just click set a new device up and see what it says. Tip, we recommend setting up the smart hub first. Are you ready to set up the smart hub? That's this piece. So I'm getting prompted for what to do. That's good. So let me confirm that. Plug your smart hub into an electrical outlet. When the light flashes blue, click the next button. Let me go plug this into an outlet right over here. I am plugged in. It didn't do anything for a few seconds and then it started flashing blue. So that little delay had me a little worried, but it did kick off. And it's, let's see, next step is to connect the smart hub to your Wi-Fi network. Click the next button, go to the Wi-Fi settings page and select Hub IDX. Alrighty, so where is the hub IDX? There it is, the hub. I'm connecting. So it's there. Let's go back into the directions. Select my Wi-Fi network for my house. Now, this, like all other ones, needs a 2.4 gigahertz connection. None of them can use a 5 gigahertz. So I have my house set up to project in a 2.4. This only causes a problem with new routers that dynamically toggle between the two based on the best signal. I happen to have one of those new routers by Cox. So what I've got on my house specifically to support my existing smart lock, and I'm going to need it to set up this smart lock, is I just put a little Wi-Fi extender that transmits in a dedicated 2.4 gigahertz. I'll put a link to that product down below if you run into this same problem. But that's the network that I'm going to select here. And a Wi-Fi password. And I'm just going to leave the default name, but it allows you to change the name. Well, it's thinking about it. It's taking a little longer than I'd like to see, but that may or may not be cause for an alarm. We'll see here in a minute. Still thinking. Pairing process was unsuccessful. Check your Wi-Fi name and password. Make sure the distance between your smart hub and your router is less than 33 feet. Okay, so that might be an issue. I'm sitting right about 30 feet, so I should be okay. Let's try everything again. Now it looks like to try this again, I'm going to have to unplug that and plug it back in. So that's what I'm going to try and do right now. All right, real quick, I want to draw your attention to something not going as smooth as I'd like. When I plugged this back in after failing through the process one time, instead of glowing blue, it glowed red, which was a problem. So there is this little button here right on the front. I pressed and held that, and then I got to my blue light that I was looking for. So let me go plug it back in, get back to my blue light and start this process again. All right, I'm back to the flashing blue light, which I need. Here's my hub, I can see it now. Getting connected to the lock, so I'm connecting to the lock okay. Now this time I'm just going to select my regular network. Maybe we'll get lucky here. So I'm going to select my network and my password. Looks like it's doing something now. It says checking network, so it looks like I might be in this time. And now it's adding the smart hub. Hey, so that's good actually. So with past locks, I had to select that 2.4 dedicated network that I had set up. This one seemed to work okay with the dynamic Cox network available. So it's now adding the smart hub. So it actually, I went through a step I've had to do in the past. I don't need to do that anymore. This one is actually smart enough to figure it out. So it's good news. So that means you're not going to have to order any special equipment. So it's a little easier than I thought it would be actually. So it's got it all done and I can finish and the smart hub has been added successfully. And now I need to just set up a device. This app can support a variety of devices. So it can support the smart lock that we have here. They also have safe locks that can connect via Wi-Fi and it could support those as well. You see that here. They also have door sensors. So you can connect sensors to your doors or your windows and they can all be connected and monitored within this one app. Now there is a limitation on the hub itself. The hub itself can only connect 3 locks and 10 door and window sensors. Those 3 locks could be smart locks, safe locks, a combination of, but you'll need another hub if you want to control more than 3 locks in the same location or more than 10 window sensors. So let's go ahead and select the SECURAM Touch and we want to install it. It's already installed, so I want to add it to the app. Press the function button on the keypad, then press the number 8 button. So let's do that.
Add user pair phone. Please log in as administrator. Enter code. Verified successfully.
I've logged in as the...
Now please follow the instructions on the app to complete the setup.
Okay, so it's walking me through the process. That's good. I had to log in as the administrator. I did that. I'm logged in. It's asking me to go. Make sure the phone is near an active device. I am. And now it's searching for the device. It's found my lock, so I now can select it. Set up a new name. What are we going to call this? Let's just call this front door. Paired successfully. It's telling me the current device status is displayed there. Great. Tap here for the logs. Great. Tap here to add new devices. Q&A. Great. All seems intuitive. So I've got a nice little picture here of my front door app. I kind of like that. Let's check out the status of the lock. And it shows me right there that the status is currently unlocked. So let's go ahead and lock the lock.
Locked.
Well, there you go. I'm now controlling this from my app. That seems pretty good. So the status takes a little second to update. You can see it there. It takes just a second. Let's go ahead and unlock it. Now, that's an interesting little feature. The first time you go through the unlock process in the app, it's actually asking me to confirm my user code. And then after it's confirmed that I am who I am, it'll ask me if I want to skip it in the future. So that's an interesting little feature. I like that. And now I've unlocked it successfully. So let's see if that actually worked.
Locked.
Now let's try to unlock it and see if it prompts me for that code. Okay, that worked. It unlocked it without asking me for the code, so I like that. Now let's go into the tools here and let's take a look at the history. So I have a history of the lock so I can see exactly what's happened, when it's locked, when it's unlocked, so that's a nice feature, of course. Does it give me, I want to see what happens if I put in a bad code. Will the history actually show me that a bad code was used? In fact, I'm going to close this all together and see if I get an alert when a bad code is used. Just try that out.
Invalid code.
Okay, an invalid code was used. My phone is not showing me any type of an alert on that. Let's go into my history. My history does indeed show that an incorrect code was used. Let's go ahead and add a user to this lock. If you remember when I did this lock and set it up, I cleared all the users. Invitation list. Well, this is interesting. To add a user, I actually have to invite them and send them an email. I don't think I like that feature. I ought to just be able to add a code and tell my friend Joey or whoever, hey, here's your code to get into the lock. So I don't think I like this feature. But let's go through this process and see what happens. So I've set up a dummy email account here. So it sent an invitation to use my lock. So let's see if I got that invitation. So let's now go back into my email and see if I've gotten anything. Okay, so I did get one here. It is the register at SECURAM. RV's invited you to access the lock. So here's the invitation. And now what it's asking me to do here is it's asking me to go in and download the app to my phone as a guest in order to enroll in this lock and register and log in and request a verification code and jump through a bunch of hoops. And I don't like that. This is an unnecessary step in my opinion. I can see why they're doing it. It's more secure. But from my lock, like I can with the other smart locks, I ought to just be able to add a user, a name, create a PIN code, and either mail that PIN code to that user or call my buddy John and say, hey, here's your PIN code to get into my lock. So I don't love that step. So I'm gonna stop that process right here because I think it's unnecessary. So that's a knock against this smart lock. But what I will do so that we can continue to play with the app is I will set up a couple of users in this app so that we can take a look at some of the differences. So let's do that. I've added a visitor successfully. I'm going to add another one so that we can highlight a difference in the app from the lock itself. All right, so I've added 2 visitor codes to this lock. Let's go ahead and refresh the list on my phone and see if it did indeed update. Okay, so I have 2 visitor codes now here that I can access from my phone. Let's see what I can do with them. All right, I'm back. So my battery died in the middle of filming that. So hopefully I could pick this up right where we left off. Now, since my battery was dead, I've been playing with this a little bit, and let me just go over a couple of the things that I discovered here. Let's go into the users. Now, the visitors that I set up on this lock, I'm not able to change their codes from within the app, and I really don't like that. I don't like that I cannot set the users up in the app, that they have to be manually set up. I don't like that I cannot view my user codes from within the app. I also don't like that in order to just set them up with a PIN code, I've got to go to my lock or they've got to get that email and enroll and download the app themselves. That's way too complex for me, so I don't like that. I also played with this a little bit, going in to change my code. So the only code apparently you can change from the app is your own code. And what I found there is in order to change my code in the app, I have to be within Bluetooth range of the lock. Again, I don't like that. The whole purpose of Wi-Fi is to eliminate being at the lock. So that's sort of a downside to this as well. So in summary, with the app, what I really like here is I could do the history. I can also go in and simply remove a single user. So that is an advantage as well. Remember when we talked about programming at the lock, you had to delete all the users. I can go in and remove one user at a time from the app. So that's nice. Even though it's hard to enroll them, it's easy to get them out. So let's take a look. The other thing that I want to talk about, the last thing I want to talk about with this is of course the ability to monitor and track whether or not the door is open. So let me go into my settings and make sure I enable that. So there is a door sensor here. I'm going to enable that right now, and that will report the status of the door. And auto lock will be able to lock instantly upon door closure if you have auto lock. So it'll sense that the door is closed. That's an interesting little feature there. That sort of implies that if my door is open, the auto lock won't lock. You know, that's new. if I have auto lock on and I have my door sensor on, it won't auto lock when the door is open. So that's something I didn't even think of. So that's a great feature. I like that a lot. In order to sense when your door is closed, you got to pop this open. I'm going to take this back battery off here real quick. Take the back of the lock off. I need something to pry that open. The lock is on here pretty tight. You remember from my install video that this is how this lock goes on the door. So I can pull that off. Now the door sensor is basically these little wings. Let's see if you can pull that out here. There's a little wing on the back of this lock. I'm gonna snap this off just so you can see that good, okay? So there's a little wing there and they pull out, and which one you pull out depends on how your door is set up. But in this case, I pull out the one on that side. Let's plug this puppy back in. Okay, I have that on. And now I've got this little tab here sticking out. Let's put this back in, batteries back in. So to get this to sense whether or not the door is open, there's this little magnet that they give you, and they send this to you. And this just peels off and sticks basically right on the frame of the door. So you just stick it right on the frame of the door, where your door is at. And then this little magnet right here, this little sensor right here, this needs to be within 3/4 of an inch of this magnet. So it needs to be within 3/4 inch. And so you can adjust this to get that right distance. I'm just gonna stick that right there to make sure that it does sense that the door is actually closed. Okay, now I'm going to take this magnet away and see if I get any kind of a notification on that. It does tell me I remotely unlocked the door, but it doesn't tell me that my door is open or closed. Oh, it says my door sensor is off again. Let's see what happened there. Let's enable the door sensor. Door sensor will now report door status, and auto lock will be able to lock instantly upon door closure. Great feature. I do like that one a lot. And let's see here. Let's put this back here. Now I'm not getting any status with this that my door is now closed. So I don't see any status on the door open or closed. Now it says my door sensor is off again. So I'm having a little problem. I mean, the whole reason I kind of like this lock is because it had this feature, which the Yale lock also has, but if I can't get it to work, that's a problem. Now the only other thing I really want to try here is this one-time code. Let's see what that does. If I hit one-time code, which will allow for single controlled access to the device. Once the one-time code is used, the code expires. So you can use it once. Let's see if I can generate a code. Please enter the administrator's lock code. It generated me automatically a one-time use code. So that could be used once. So at least you could do that from the phone. So, you know, I've seen enough of the app to tell you it's not as good as I want it to be. We had the little hiccup getting it installed. I can't change my user codes from the lock. I can't change my user codes from the app. I can't create user codes from the app. Instead, it emails them out. I'm having issues getting the door ajar to work. I still can't get in my history here, and it does not telling me whether or not my door is open or closed. I really want that feature. I think, according to what I'm reading here, it's really only to be used for auto locking the door, which is great because it prevents door damage, but I also want it to work so it tells me whether or not somebody left my door open. So it's halfway there. Other than that, you know, it's not bad. I want to be able to do things that it's not letting me do. So if you really want to check the history of your lock, if you really want to just be able to lock and unlock your door remotely or get a one-time use code, the app's going to work for you just fine. If you want the ability to auto lock the door when the door is closed, the app gives you that. But if you really want to be able to dynamically create codes and then just text the code to your buddy or whatever, it's not going to do that for you. So it falls a little short there. So hopefully that's the review of the app on the Smart Lock Touch, on the SECURAM Touch. Hopefully you liked that video. Now we've done a series of other videos on this. We talk about the lock itself. We talk about the installation of the lock. This one covered the app. If you want to see those videos, I'll put a link to them down below. All these products are available on Amazon. The base lock itself is on Amazon for about 200 bucks. I'll put a link to that below, as well as the hub is on Amazon. I think it adds about $80 to the price of the overall lock. If you liked the video, please click the like button, subscribe to our channel. I'm Robert with Acme Locksmith, and you've been watching Locksmith Recommended.